Think of the time when you can fit it in your schedule. And you have the necessary equipment. It is really hard to play tennis if you don't have a tennis racket. So you just want to make sure you have all the gear you need. And to start with, you just really want to make sure you have a good pair of shoes. That's the best thing to start out with. So our fourth tip is make it a habit. And so my funny little joke was to put a picture of a nun up there, because nuns wear habits, but no one got it. Thanks. Thanks for the pity laughs now. So it takes about 3 weeks to start solidifying that habit. And so if you want to get the habit to stick, you want to try to do the same thing, you want to try to do something at the same time each day. It can be a lot easier to add habits in the morning than in the evening, because in the evening lots of things pop up. You know, dinner, a sports practice, or recital, or you just don't want to. So if you add it in the morning, it may be easier to make it stick. In addition, a lot of stress hormones like cortisol and testosterone and growth hormone are at their peak in the morning, so you just have a lot more energy to kind of get going than you do in the evening. So our fifth tip is to build exercise into your life. We talked about our barriers, and sometimes it can be easier to start, but compliance, sticking with your exercise, is the biggest obstacle. So you want to make exercise easy. It doesn't matter when or where or how you incorporate it, it just matters that you do incorporate it into your life. So if you live a really long way away from the gym probably isn't a great thing for you because it's too far away for you to go regularly. So find things that you like and that bring joy to your life. If you hate running, you won't be able to sustain it. If you love bicycling, that may be easier to incorporate into your daily life. And you really just want to make sure you get some joy out of it. Enjoy this exercise, otherwise you'll probably quit. So you can hike, swim at Ella Redkey Pool, play tennis with a friend, or go to CrossFit with Stephanie, because I promise she brings enough enthusiasm for this whole room to go to CrossFit. But maybe you don't know what you like. So, I don't know if you want to set up the video again, I'm sorry. I'm a Mac girl. You can do anything for 30 days, as this computer scientist at Google recommended. So just try yoga for 30 days. Try biking to work for 30 days. Just try to incorporate a habit into your life for just 30 days. And he'll describe it better than I will.
Me too.
A few years ago, I felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of the great American philosopher, Morgan Spurlock, and try something new for 30 days. The idea is actually pretty simple. Think about something you've always wanted to add to your life and try it for the next 30 days. It turns out 30 days is just about the right amount of time to add a new habit or subtract a habit, like watching the news, from your life. There's a few things that I learned while doing these 30-day challenges. The first was, instead of the months flying by forgotten, the time was much more memorable. This was part of a challenge I did to take a picture every day for a month, and I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing that day. I also noticed that as I started to do more and harder 30-day challenges, my self-confidence grew. I went from desk-dwelling computer nerd to the kind of guy who bikes to work for fun. Even last year, I ended up hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. I would never have been that adventurous before I started my 30-day challenges. I also figured out that if you really want something badly enough, you can do anything for 30 days. Have you ever wanted to write a novel? Every November, tens of thousands of people try to write their own 50,000-word novel from scratch in 30 days. It turns out, all you have to do is write 1,667 words a day for a month. So I did. By the way, the secret is not to go to sleep until you've written your words for the day. You might be sleep deprived, but you'll finish your novel. Now, is my book the next great American novel? No, I wrote it in a month. It's awful. But for the rest of my life, if I meet John Hodgman at a TED party, I don't have to say, I'm a computer scientist. No, if I want to, I can say, I'm a novelist. So here's one last thing I'd like to mention. I learned that when I made small, sustainable changes, things I could keep doing, they were more likely to stick. There's nothing wrong with big, crazy challenges. In fact, they're a ton of fun, but they're less likely to stick. When I gave up sugar for 30 days, day 31 looked like this. So here's my question to you. What are you waiting for? I guarantee you the next 30 days are going to pass whether you like it or not. So why not think about something you have always wanted to try and give it a shot for the next 30 days? Thanks.
So I thought that was some great inspiration, and I plan on doing this in July as well. So I have mentioned before that I don't love to exercise. And so I really try to sneak it in my day when I can. And one way is through my morning commute. Klamath Falls is small and beautiful, and so it's a pretty good place to commute to work in a method other than cars. So when I go to work at Sky Lakes Medical Center, this is my morning commute from my neighborhood. It takes about a half an hour to walk there, and it's beautiful. It's a great time to catch up on phone calls or listen to audiobooks or just to be quiet for 30 minutes and get ready for my day. And then when I arrive at whatever meeting I may be arriving at, then I'm all ready and pumped up. Our temporary office is right now in Washburn, so that's not a great hike. It's loud and noisy, but it's only a 2.5-mile bike ride away from my house. So another great way to commute without getting in my car, and a great way to add some exercise to my day. So our 6th tip is track your progress. You can do this with food and exercise. With food, you can track what you're eating, and you may just want to do that 2 or 3 days a week because it can be tedious. But with exercise, if you're like me, I want to check a box, every time I work out because I take that satisfaction from marking it off my list. So there are a wide variety of ways that you can do this. A lot of them are on phone applications, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but some of them are kind of like a Fitbit where it measures how many steps you take and what kind of activity you're doing. Some of it you can just document, I ran or biked for 30 minutes. Some of them are kind of more fun. PAX is one where it's free to join, but you say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days this week, and if you go, then you win a financial prize. And if you don't, then you have to pay a penalty. And it's funded by people who don't go and pay the penalties. And then lastly, if we're all having a little trouble with our Couch to 5K app, which I know I am sometimes, Zombies Run or The Walk, which does have a fee, will tell you a story in the background. So when you're starting to lag, it will describe how the zombies are chasing you to give you a little inspiration to keep going. Or you can just write it down. You make your own calendar and write it down, and that's another great way to track what you're doing. Let's forget my 7th tip. So tip number 7 is divide and conquer, and Stephanie alluded to this a little bit as well. If 30 minutes a day seems like too much, then split it up into 10-minute increments. A 10-minute brisk walk in the morning, 10 minutes of calisthenics on your lunch break, and a 10-minute walk after dinner. Or if you're being chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you can run really hard for 15 minutes, and then celebrate your escape by dancing for 15 minutes, and you've reached your goal for the day.
So
come on, that joke was fun.
So the 8th strategy is the buddy system. So people with a buddy do well. Article after article really demonstrates the exact same thing, that an exercise partner helps hold us accountable. Experts report that exercise or weight loss buddies, they provide a combination of support, a little bit of competition, and accountability. There was a neat study of married couples who joined health clubs together, and it found that couples who worked out separately had a 50% higher dropout rate at the end of 1 year, whereas couples who went to the gym together, regardless of whether they focused on the same type of exercise, only had a 10% dropout rate. And there was a nice little anecdote, a little story that I wanted to share with you that I think kind of exemplifies this. Ada Gibson, 69, took up walking for exercise shortly after she retired. She fell into a good routine, arriving at Northwest Plaza by 6 a.m. every morning and walking once around the mall. 2 years later, her husband, Bob Gibson, now 71, retired, found he was bored stiff after spending a few months around the house, so he decided to join her. While Bob Gibson finds joint health the main benefit of walking, and his wife credits it with keeping her figure trim, the advantage of exercising together is clear to both. It helps to keep them interested. It can be dull, Ada said, but when you've got somebody to talk to, you don't realize the amount of time you've put in or the number of miles that you've gone. Though she had to adjust her routine a bit to accommodate her husband because he prefers to sleep an extra hour, but Ada said it was worth it. When I wake up and I say, "Oh, I sure don't feel like walking today," he encourages me to do it anyway. It's very easy to drop off and not do it. That's why we walk every day. If you take one day off, it's easy to just keep taking another and another. The best thing my wife ever said to me was, "We make a good team," Gibson said. "We don't always agree all the time, but when the chips are down, we work together." As you get older, you realize that the most important thing in your